Humans are feeling-based creatures, biological organisms that are living in a world of shared abstractions. If you want to leave, I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So only the babes and the G's are here. So what is the point of that? To know that we are feeling-based creatures living in a shared world of abstractions. That gives you the power to see that everything works in a specific way, and at any point you can take control over your own inner and outer world, your mind, your body, and the life that you are living. You begin to see that time, money, meaning, ego, story, identity, all these things are our own creation. So that gives you the power to take control over your own mind, senses, emotions, and your entire life. So what are the actionables to have to begin that? Meditation is a must. 10 minutes every single day. Do it for a year. See what happens. Your world will get quiet and you will create space between you and your responses to the world. You will begin to see that there is a space between you and the story that you continue to repeat to yourself, and what you allow into your own inner world with a story that you repeat to yourself, and how you decide to interpret everything in the outer world literally creates your emotions and creates your pattern of behaviors. What is that? Those are actions. What do actions do in the real world? They create your life. What you do, your regular behaviors, create the results of your life. Get in the best shape of your life. When you do heavy, intense resistance training, well, at a cellular level, you will have more mitochondria, denser mitochondria, more efficient mitochondria. What does mitochondria do? It provides 80% or more of our pure raw human energy. So what happens when you have more pure raw human energy at a cellular level? You will feel fucking greater. You will literally have more energy to use and expand. You're gonna be vibrating. You're gonna be on fire for life. Get in the best shape of your life. There are so many benefits to it. So the other thing is to create yourself on purpose. Create yourself on purpose. Well, this is why I brought up that we are feeling-based creatures, biological organisms that live in a world of shared abstractions. Because then you can see that time and money only exist in the fact that we project it to exist. All meaning that we project and create and ascribe to only exists because we create it in our own inner world, and we live in this world of shared abstractions. But most human beings just follow the path of least resistance and never question their own life. So they are literally just learning by absorbing how other human beings live. And most human beings don't question the reality and the truth of this life. They don't value self-mastery. They don't value deciding their life. They're just operating to feel some sort of love and survive, no good or bad. But if you're here, you want to decide your life. You want to be 1%. You want to have absolute life freedom. So create yourself on purpose. Create your identity on purpose. Create your mindset on purpose. Be vigilant and sharp upon your own self story, a story that you repeat to yourself about yourself, but then prove it through action and behavior again and again and again. Pain is the portal. If there is fear, anxiety, or discomfort, that is the portal. That is the threshold of expansion, value expansion. Because the way that you expand your identity, your emotions, your nervous system, and your body is from doing things that you'd rather not do. That literally expands your brain and your body and your skill set. So most things that most men need to expand themselves to is talk to beautiful women, do a bit of public speaking or creating content in public, get in the best shape of your life. Do things that your current ego structure or own identity that you are creating and perpetuating again and again, which is under your absolute control. Do things that current identity rather not do. That is expansion. That is how the body and the brain rewires itself to actually be more powerful and come from a place of love. Because only then, when you expand yourself, can you actually decide your life. Because you open up yourself to the world and you see and you know, you absolutely know that you can do whatever you want with your life. You can do whatever you want. It's all available to you. And this is why it's good to understand the things of this world and know and understand are shared abstractions. Business is a shared abstraction. It works in a specific way. Money is a shared abstraction. It works in a specific way. Egos, identities, archetypes. This is why there are types of people, types of personalities, and there's not an infinite amount of responses in anything that we do. This is why there are processes to things like sales and processes to things like winning or being in your best physical and mental states, or anything that you're doing. There's always a step-by-step process that leads most humans to be highly efficient at that skill. Meditate to silence your mind and command your mind. 10 minutes for at least a year. Try it out. I remember when I first experienced the silence in my mind, it felt fucking magical. It's one of the things that led for me to start a YouTube, start a business, and invest over $100,000 in that business. End up around $70,000 in debt. It was about $60,000 to $70,000, but it created space between me and the world, and it silenced the story that I had in my brain that I didn't even know was going on. It silenced that, and it gave me the power to begin to see that I am who I want to be, just like yourself. And this is why, if you made it this part, it's because you want to be the 1%, you want to be apex, and you want to decide your life from a place of power, love, and godliness. We all have the power to create ourselves in our totality, from our own inner and outer world, from our mind to our emotions to our bodies to the results that we are creating in our life. Because all the results that we are creating in our life, it is created through a repetition of behavior. Your brain is plastic. Your beliefs and your mindset literally create your inner world. This is why meditation is an absolute must, to quiet your mind, to silence your ego, identity, and self-story, so you can create it from a place of love, power, and peace, to align yourself to a higher intelligence, whether you want to call that love, God, or source. It's the exact same thing. If you study other religions, you see that they point to the exact same source. How do you think you're going to experience a higher source? creatures. Quieting the things of this world. Meditation is a must. Getting the best shape of your life is a must. In order for you to live your most vibrant, high energy, loving life. Can you win in a worldly way without doing these things? Sure, absolutely. But you are diluting yourself. Meditate to command your mind, get in the best shape of your life, and expand yourself and create yourself on purpose. Create your identity, your ego, your own self-story on purpose, because this literally absorbs outer information, the data of the world, makes interpretations upon the data of the world, and creates your emotional patterns, your thoughts, loops, and patterns, and leads to your patterns of behaviors and pattern of actions which are absolutely under your control, but you have to prove it through behavior and execution again and again and again. And this is the reason why I even went to Bali in the first place. This is the reason I was so aggressive with my first business. I had no reason to believe it was going to work. I had no reason to believe to allocate 6 figures coming from a $40,000 household. I had no reason to go into $70,000 in debt. I had no reason to go all in and go so hard in so many ways, but I knew that it was possible. And when I first started reading and acquiring worldly knowledge, going into psychology, behaviorism, and learning about billionaires and millionaires, I already knew what you know to be true. Success leaves clues. There is a pattern and rhythm to everything in this world, because human beings are nature. We are nature. The exact same way that nature, there's a specific way to grow a fruit. Everything in this world has a natural rhythm, and there are patterns that emerge of like, how do I win? How do I do the right thing? How do I be more truthful, or how do I expand in this moment? How do I win in business? How do I win in love? How do I win in other conversations? And by winning, I mean provide the most fruitful environment for all parties involved. Command your mind, get in the best shape of your life, create yourself on purpose, your ego, your identity, and see that we are humans as a whole. We are feeling-based creatures, biological organisms living in shared abstractions. This gives you a position of power to operate from a place of love, which is honestly a huge responsibility, because you begin to see that we all are a product of our input and output patterns. We all live in a predictable way, and we all respond to the world in a predictable way when you understand that we live based off feelings and we err towards love. But most human beings, when they err towards love, they do it through belonging and through survival. That is the quickest way to have comfort, belonging and survival. But the true path is expansion, which at first is uncomfortable. But when you expand yourself, you connect yourself to a higher intelligence, you connect yourself to peace and power, which makes you hyper present. And the hyper present, like being absolutely quiet in your own brain, allows you to see a lot of truth of this life. One of those things, it's like when you experience that all is now, the time is now, time literally does not exist, and you expect that for an extended period of time, it gives you the power to decide your behaviors in the present moment. But it also shows you that, like, literally when we're gonna die, like when you're really old, if you are blessed to see the day, it's gonna feel like now. It's going to feel like now. You're just gonna inspect your memories, and it's gonna feel like the present moment, and you're gonna die in that moment. So it's gonna bring an intensity to how you invest your energy, your attention, and how you invest your mental bandwidth. Because what is within time? What's within time? The only thing that we have that we don't get back. What's within time? Our energy, our attention, and our mental bandwidth. Because within every present moment, there's an inner world going on, and you have a X amount of human energy that you can invest. So focus is a multiplier. Energy is a multiplier. Having clean mental bandwidth is a multiplier. But how do you even get there? Meditate. Quiet your mind. Push yourself hard through the body to quiet your mind. What quiets your mind? So you can begin to command your mind. Because the things that quiet my mind the most are regular meditation, regular sensory deprivation, and honestly pushing and training my body to full-on immersion, like either by training very intensely, I know I'm not alone in this, as well as full-on martial arts expansion. Why? Because all of my senses are involved. I am training so hard I do not think. When you are not thinking, when you have a loss of self, you connect to a higher power, you connect to a higher source, you can call that a frequency of love, you can call that God, but that place yields a lot of clarity how you should invest your life and how you should move in this moment, moving forward, and decide what you actually want in this life, which does align to freedom, which does align to abundance, love, and overflow, and ultimately impacting other humans in the highest way that you possibly can. But that only happens through self-mastery. That only happens through commanding your mind. That only happens when you get in the best shape of your life, just to have your best physiological state. That only happens when you take control over your own ego and self-story, so you can decide and create your identity from a place of power. Look, we're all being conditioned anyways. Like, we're all being trained to be a specific type of human anyways. Do it on purpose. And if you're still here, you'd want to do it on purpose. It is your absolute power. You have to prove it through yourself, through behavior. Pain is the portal. Fear, discomfort, anxiety, the moment you step into it, it does not exist. So do it again and again and again and again and again. And empower yourself by empowering your brain through meditation, and empowering your body through getting in the best shape of your life. and empowering your abilities and skills through repetition, but also go into understanding how money works, how business works, how value creation and value exchange works. The reason I even ever got into psychology or ego or consciousness is because first I was all about business. I was like, how the fuck do I win at business? How do I become profitable? How do I retire my parents? How do I make a lot of money and ultimately just win and succeed? Because first I was just about the body. But reading about millionaires, billionaires, the greatest scientists, it led me to the greatest questions of this life. Why are we here and who am I? What is the right way to live? That leads you to what we would call as source, as God, as love, but actually grounding that to how we live. It is about being your best human self through a form of winning. And by winning, I mean deciding your life from a place of peace and power. Because if you're going to decide to play the human game and operate in the human marketplace, so if you are trading your life for dollars in any way, shape, or form, you are in the human marketplace. But if you're going to play from a place of power, it demands for you to be a better human being and doing it on purpose. And that demands a form of consistency, which some may call discipline. But ultimately, it just takes what it takes. So if you're here, you want to be 1%, you want to be apex, you want to decide your life from a place of peace, power, and love. You have the absolute power to control yourself as a human, your own inner world, your own outer world, your own body, and the behaviors and actions that you do, which is your entire life results. There is immense amount of leverage through developing a winning mindset, but that comes through deciding who you're going to be by first quieting your mind and then using the pain as a portal as to what you need to do, getting very quiet to question and meditate on yourself, pray, be very quiet. How should I invest my one and only life? The moment is now. There is no later. How do I invest my now? As I was going through it, it led for me to quit my job at first, start the business at first, and go all in on that. When I exhausted all efforts, I got quiet again. What is the best thing that I could do in my life moving forward? I moved to Oregon, slept on a founder's couch when it comes to a bubble tea business, because at that point I was just like, I'm just about the money. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to have my financial freedom. Fuck how I feel. About 2 years in, I felt dead while I was doing it, and I just knew that it wasn't the right thing for me to do. So I wanted to go back to something where it's like, I'd rather feel fucking good inside, feel love, and know that I'm doing good in the world, so I don't feel dead inside. So I went back into into personal training. So I did that for about 6 months. But then once again, as I am operating in a way, I was like, I can maximize this. Of course, I'm not a perfect human being, but I knew this wasn't the greatest source of investment for my life. I knew that specific environment. Honestly, when you're this type of human, most environments aren't going to be the best investment for your life. You're either going to be demanded to do something for yourself, or only being in a high leverage, high stress, which is high opportunity environments, like the edge environments that are expanding people forward, or being around founders and entrepreneurs, because those human beings are very intense, or being around very creative sources. It's more about being tapped into God, tapped into love, and tapped in all in, and being all in on your life. Because if you're not all in on your life, honestly, you're flaccid. And if you're flaccid, you're not here. But do whatever it takes right now to create yourself, build yourself on purpose. The power is absolutely yours. You have to take action now. Do what scares you the most. Do what you know you should be doing. Do meditation until you die so you can quiet your mind. Get in the best shape of your life so you can experience that physiological state, and pain is the portal. Your time is now. Peace, love, blessings, and power. I love you all. Thank you for making it this far. I'll talk to you very soon.